Welcome to Basics of Faith. Today we are talking all about sharing our faith with other people. What does it look like to talk to other people about Jesus without things getting, kind of awkward? Well, in a little bit I'll show you one of the most comfortable ways you can share your faith with other people. But until then, let's talk a little bit about where this whole sharing faith thing even came from. Let's kick things off with the big question. What does sharing your faith even mean? Sharing your faith means sharing some portion of what Jesus has done for you with other people. It doesn't mean you have to give them an entire gospel presentation or that you need to have your testimony memorized and ready to go. Sharing your faith can be done in really big or often really small ways. When you think about Jesus and the way he taught his disciples, his entire purpose was preparing them to share their faith, otherwise known as the good news. He told them, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." Matthew 5:14-16. It was vital that the disciples share this light, the good news, with others. And what was that good news? It was the news that Jesus, the perfect Son of God, came to earth as a man to cover the sins of every person and restore the relationship between us and his Father. When we accept the sacrifice Jesus paid on our behalf, we become adopted sons and daughters of God, and we get to look forward to the coming kingdom of God and participate in bringing it to earth. All of this changes us. The longer we follow Jesus, the more we become like him, and we can share his love with others. Sharing this good news is what Jesus spent 3 years training his disciples to do, and they shared the good news in different ways. Sometimes they called people away from their sins and into the new life waiting for them. And sometimes they simply met people where they were and offered them the same love and care Jesus had offered them. When Jesus gave his final instructions to his disciples before returning to heaven, the Great Commission, he encouraged them to continue sharing the good news, not just in Israel, but with all nations. Once the early church got its start, sharing the good news was their primary objective. That's why Paul and Barnabas and Priscilla and Aquila and so many other people left their homes and nations to plant new churches in far-off places. Which brings us to an important point. Sharing faith isn't just a one-and-done type thing. It requires continued teaching and care, usually coming from multiple people. That's why early church missionaries spent time building churches in the communities they visited. They knew new Jesus followers would need the support of a church where they could learn and grow. Telling other people about Jesus might be where evangelism starts, but that isn't where it stops. There's so much more to it than that. Missionaries have played a big role in spreading the gospel around the world over the last 2,000 years. And the church has learned a lot about what it looks like to share the gospel effectively as a result of their work, both because of things they did well and because of things they didn't do well. God might call you to be a missionary someday, but even if he never does, that doesn't mean you don't have a responsibility to share your faith. That's a responsibility for every follower of Jesus. And sharing your faith is a whole life thing. Yes, you could go up to a stranger and tell them about Jesus. Many people have accepted Jesus because of this kind of witness. But living out the love of Jesus, befriending people, showing them hospitality, inviting them to church, this opens up so many doors to telling others about Jesus' love. If you look at the life of Jesus, people came to him and wanted to learn more because of the love he showed them. When we model that sort of love with our whole lives, people will open up. They'll ask questions about where this love comes from, and we'll have opportunities to share. And in preparation for those moments, it's good to remember this verse. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you, to give the reason for the hope that you have. 1 Peter 3:15. Spend time thinking about how Jesus has changed your life and what you love about following him. When those answers are settled in your mind and your heart, you'll be ready when someone asks you why you live the way you live.
One of my favorite ways to share my faith with other people is through the practice of hospitality. Hospitality is about opening your life up and making other people feel welcome. Jesus was all about hospitality. So when we follow his example, that's one way we can share his love and our faith with others. So bottom line, this means when you invite your friends over to your house for dinner or a game night, you're sharing your faith with them. When you take the time to clean up your place, prepare snacks and food, and select the perfect playlist for your time together, people notice that kind of care. It makes them wonder, what is different about this person that I feel so cared for? And that might provide you an opportunity to tell them more about the difference that Jesus has made in your life.
Hospitality is just one way we can share our faith and the love of Jesus with others. God gives you opportunities every day to share your faith with others through so many of the practices we've talked about this season, like baptism and serving and generosity. Stay on the lookout for ways you can share the good news of Jesus today. I hope you enjoyed the second season of Basics of Faith. Ready to learn more about following Jesus? Just click here.